Hello again and welcome to the video. So today we have another Marklin set. It's number 46823 and you can see that this is a tanker with an open wagon and a little tractor. So I got this second hand. I'm not quite sure when this model originally came out, but this box is starting to show its age now. It's got some tarnishing down the side here. One of the great things I like about this model is what it says here in English. So it says Wood Spirit Carburetor car set. So that's absolutely garbage. It doesn't really mean anything in English. So I'm not actually sure what that's meant to mean. Wood Spirit Carburetor, don't know. Anyway, we'll have a look and see what we've got inside this model. One thing to note before we do that though, this means that these wagons are fitted with wheels that work on Marklin's 3-rail system. So that means if you put these on something like Hornby Pico, it will short out your track. So you might want to change the wheels if you wanted to do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a look and see what we've got inside this box. As usual, these Marklin boxes, it's got a cardboard sleeve and it just slides off quite easily. This one's got a 2-piece polystyrene tray with a lid on it. And here we can see inside we've got the models, the open wagon, the tanker and the tractor, and we seem to have a bag of something here as well. So what we've got here is 3 extra wheels. So this actually might be for a 2-rail operation. I'm not quite sure whether there's only 3 of them. Doesn't seem to be anything else in this box. I did get this second hand, so maybe those have been additions that have just been added in. Anyway, let's go ahead and have a look at each of these wagons. So this is the first one that I've pulled out the packaging. It is an open wagon and it has a Deutsche Bahn logo here and it is number 672890. And straight away you can see that this has a wood load added to it. Now this is actually real wood. It's quite a simple thing that comes out quite easily. It's got some polystyrene supports here which give it some depth, and it has a piece of, I think it's balsa wood underneath here. It isn't a great representation of wood. You definitely could do something better yourself, I think, but it's nice to see that that's been added in. So the wagon has some great detail on the side. It's a really nice moulding, and as usual it's got Marklin's great printing on it. So you can see some lettering here down on the chassis as well as on the side of the wagon, all different numbers. Some of these aren't really legible to the eye, but you can probably see them here on the video. It's got some really nice details as well, like this little ring which is on each of the corners, like a strapped down tie ring, something like that. At this end of the wagon you've got a brakeman's cab with a silver roof, no glazing as usual, and these railings. So these are quite firm plastic, so they could break quite easily. I've seen more modern ones that are more pliable and can take a few hits, but this one doesn't. And it has these steps at each of the corner at this end. At the other end it's quite plain, there's nothing much here. There's not even any handrails, but it does have a representation of a little hook or something at the side here which has been moulded into the main plastic. So this is maybe a flip down door in real life, but it doesn't operate here on this model. So underneath the wheels are very smooth running, and this one actually looks as though it might have 2-rail wheels in because it's got these plastic sleeves on them. So I think they might have already been converted. And it also has, as usual, cantilever couplings with NEM pockets as well, so you can change those. And it has a representation of brake gear, and this is very typical of Marklin on the underside of a lot of their wagons. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. There's no detail on the planks either. You would expect maybe some wood effect, but there isn't any, and there's a couple of moulding marks. But you know, it's a fairly basic model, a nice representation, but it isn't anything to write home about. So let's have a look at the tanker. So this tanker model I think has appeared in many different Marklin sets. It's a very common one to see. This one has some plates on the side which have got some great printing on them as usual. This one says Deutsche Bahn with the number 547998, and there's other graphics down here and also on the side of the tank here. It has these little drain taps on each side of the tank, as well as these steps going up to a very good representation of a platform at the top with the railings. At this end there's a brakeman's cab, again not glazed, but that's okay. It's got a silver roof, and you can also see when looking at when the light catches it here that there's some really nice rivet detail on the top of the tank and down the sides here. Underneath it looks like it has 2-rail wheels fitted and cantilever couplings in NEM pockets, and exactly the same representation of brake gear as I mentioned on the open wagon. So this tank wagon has been around quite a lot. It's in a lot of different sets. I think this is a great way of Marklin selling more of this product because it has been available in a whole bunch of different liveries. Let's have a look at the tractor. So this is quite a small little thing here. It seems to be made of metal underneath. it has the wheels with metal axles and they move quite freely. They're rubberized tyres as well, and they've got a nice pattern on them, and the wheels also have some wheel stud patterns. The main body of the tractor has a bit of details here, but it's not crisply moulded, but it's certainly quite nicely represented, and there are additional parts put on here. The exhaust stack here made of plastic, and this part at the front, I think that actually might be a wood chipper that's run off the engine. I'm not 100% sure. And up at the other end of the tractor, it has an additional little seat and steering wheel added, as well as this hook at the back. So it's actually quite a nice little model. There's not a huge amount of stuff on here, but what is on here is nicely done, and it's also quite weighty as well because the main body is made of metal. So I quite like that about this tractor. It would just benefit, I think, from a driver. So let's see what all of these things weigh. So the tank wagon weighs 155 grams. The open wagon with the wood load weighs 120 grams, and the little tractor weighs 80 grams, so it's quite heavy for such a small thing. So overall, this set from Marklin is quite an interesting little set. The tank wagon has been around in many other sets, and you're probably bored of seeing that one now. The open wagon is quite interesting. It's certainly quite a detailed moulding, and it is quite nice with the brakeman's cab. The additional real wood load is also quite an interesting addition to this set. The little tractor has got a lot of appeal, and it's really the star of this set, even though it's the smallest of the 3 items. So would I recommend you get this set? Well, it's quite interesting. It's not a standout model, but if you can find it, I'd certainly add it to your collection. These Marklin sets are always quite cute. So I'll put each of these wagons on the turntable, but in the meantime, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe for more. But that's it for today, so I'll see you next time.